You're looking
Okay.
for my style.
I'd like to try it.
Okay.
Am I okay this
You're
way?
on, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we will call the meeting to order at
Oh, by Cinda.
5:32, looks like.
All right.
And I'll call the roll. I'm Cinda and I'm here. And Michael Wilson,
Yes.
Michael's
You can
here.
even sit over here with
Angelica,
that. Yes.
Angelica's here. Nancy is here. Donna is here on phone.
I'm here.
Perfect.
Very good, very good. And Jason is here. We expect Will shortly, right?
I think so.
And Leslie is not going to be here, and that's it. Well, let's see, Mary Ann Harlan.
She is excused.
Yeah.
So, all right, very good. So first is approval of the minutes. We received the minutes by email. Does anyone have a correction or an addition?
No.
If not, we will accept the minutes as emailed. And then number 2 is correspondence and communication. Did you want to introduce?
Yeah, I wanted to introduce, well, Mary Ann Harlan is excused tonight, but she did come in the library and I talked with her for a little bit, and she seems like she's going to be a really great addition. And this is, welcome Michael Wilson.
Yes.
You want to just say a few words?
Okay, well, I taught community college for 30 years, and I recognize that a library is just one of many tools used to educate students, and especially the librarian and their staff they're part of the team. And I will say this though, with our particular library, given they have already won best small town library in the country, and they're up for another slew of awards, I look at it as my job to kind of maybe stay out of the way and let this incredible staff, Allison and them, y'all are doing great without me.
Well, but thank you for being willing to serve on this board. Well, that's great.
He even dressed up. Look at him. Beautiful
Yeah.
shirt.
Oh.
It's a
It was
lovely
a
shirt.
gift. I didn't know, I shall be more careful.
You dressed up for us.
Yes, he did.
Okay, and I presume we got no correspondence?
I think so.
All right, and since we have no public, we do not have call to the public required. How about old business?
So for old business, I want to just revisit this eliminating fines. I've had some people ask where we are on this, and really, we're not really anywhere. And actually, I was hoping that, and Donna, you might actually have some ideas on how do you think we should proceed next? If we, as a library advisory board, we want to pursue this, do we set up a meeting with Steve Pauken, the city manager? Do you have any ideas on that, Donna?
So, you know, I don't know if you need to go to that level of route. I mean, but that's probably a good logical step to do, you know, just to start that conversation so that there's no surprises.
Yeah, so I did mention it to him, and you know, anytime you talk about taking revenue, no matter how little out of the city budget, it's a concern. So, you know, and I just think it would be better, or maybe if the library advisory board drafts a letter, maybe? Is that a better idea, that to submit, you know, in support of this?
Well, should we get a meeting first or a letter first?
Maybe a letter first, and then meeting second? Does that sound? Do you think?
What are we talking about again in terms of?
Oh, eliminating
Sorry, I
fines.
missed that.
Yeah, eliminating fines for adults now at this point. That's the only ones that we have fines
Right,
for.
right, but so what Right.
mean money-wise?
Yeah, what's the dollar?
Oh, okay, so, it's minimal, I mean, it would, maybe $2,500 a year.
Ooh, that's a lot for the city.
But that's what it,
I
right.
didn't think it'd be that much.
They're gonna.
Well, and that's on the high side,
Okay.
and, you know, we took away fines for kids, 2 years ago, and, you know, that lowered the, you know, money coming in terms of, overdue fines.
And did you do that with the city, or did you just do
Mhm.
that?
Yes,
Library.
yes, that was with, Teresa.
Uh-huh.
Jason,
was
isn't
working with
there, isn't there an expense for library staff in handling all these fines and taking care of the money?
Well, there is that. Hey, Will,
Hi.
come on in.
I'm sorry, I think what I have to do is this.
What is that?
That's the Yakuza, I'm offering you one of my fingers.
Okay.
No, I know. Okay, wait a
Come
minute.
pull up a chair,
I'm
and I will note that Will Grunman has arrived.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the money, the, you know, amount of money that we're looking at, and, you know,
$2,500, Jason, that's a high number.
like, it,
But if I asked you, if I asked you, in 2021, what were the total adult fines collected for the library? Could you answer that? I mean, not right now.
Yes. Yes, not right,
Easily?
not right now, but yes, I can certainly find that. Fines have been all over the place, because for the last 2 years, and this was with Teresa too, we decided to waive all fines, like everyone else was doing, in terms of like, keep your books for as long as you want, you know, and stay home and be
Right.
safe. So it's like, we would have to go back to, before the pandemic to get a true number, which I can do that. That would probably be a better number in terms of, you know, so when people come in now and it's like they've just returned to the library after, you know, the last 2 years, and there's fines from that 2 years, we get rid of it, because that was part of the thing, was there was no
Right.
fines at that time period. So if I go back to
Yeah,
2019,
what you're wanting to do, Jason, is to convince the city to pass this, right?
yes,
Right, so what I would think is, why don't we just present it to them, if you could gather this information easily, I wouldn't want
Yeah.
you to
Oh, it's
go
easy.
through a lot of work, but if you were able to say, the 5-year average for adult fines is X,
yeah,
right? So that way, that takes into account pre-pandemic and pandemic.
okay,
It gives it's not skewed one way or the other. And, you know, as long as it's a reasonable number, you certainly could justify that we could make up that difference at one of the Friends fundraising events, or, you know, something like that.
right.
That's
And
what I think you should do. I think you should just present what it is, and I mean, if one of us, and if you know, want us to help write the letter, or want me to write the letter, or whatever, board writes the letter, but that's what I would do. I would look at it as just a 5-year average. I would go under the assumption that we're moving forward with this because we've been doing this for our patrons, and we think that it's, from a patron standpoint, it's
Right.
really a benefit
Right,
to those that use the library. The 5-year average is X. Last year we only collected Y.
Right.
So it's on a downward trend, you know, something like that. So you just have to make your case, you have to sell it to them a little bit.
right. And I just think, right, if we have the support of the library advisory board, that's, I mean, that is if this is something that
Right.
you support and want, this is the perfect, you know, this is what the
What
library
we're here
advisory
for,
board is here.
I would love it if
That's
you.
the question I have, the $2,500, is that fines made or money collected?
It's money collected.
Okay.
That's a whole nother story. That's
Ah,
kind of a number.
So could you, perhaps you or another staff member, or together, draft a letter and we could look at it
Yeah.
and all sign it, assuming
Yeah.
that
yeah.
we're in agreement, which I
Yeah.
think we are?
Well,
That'd
I'm
be great.
bowing to the wish of everyone else.
Angelica
I
had
still
some
don't think,
reservations,
yeah, I still don't think it's the greatest idea, but I will bow to the majority.
Oh,
Okay.
well, no.
I just
No.
wanted to let it be known that I still don't really feel like
Yeah,
it's the
Yeah.
best way to go about it.
Okay.
right, and because we talked about
Yeah,
all
we
that
did.
stuff.
Mhm.
And they're all valid points,
Mhm.
really, I mean, it's, you know, I guess there's pros and cons to everything, mostly, you know, usually, and, you know, this one does have a few things that,
I mean, I make sure that I renew my books.
yeah.
I mean, it's rewarding bad behavior, or letting them get away with it, you know?
Yeah, but it's beyond, like, I guess we were at another meeting, you know, just removing any sort of barrier that may pop up
Mhm.
for, between a patron and the library. Money is always
Yeah.
gonna create an instant barrier, but yeah, there is that.
You hate to
That's
turn
right.
down money.
And you can't quantify money-wise all that kind of thing, the kind of thing that we think is important enough to, hey, let's don't make this a barrier for people
Yeah.
to come and use this wonderful resource.
Yeah.
Well, I
And-
think
and-
that would be a good thing to put in your letter, that you want to, you know, reduce the barrier.
Yes, oh yeah,
That would
I think
be
that's
very
the,
good in
that's
the
the
letter.
spin,
Yes.
yes. It's,
Mhm.
it's definitely, that's, to me, that's the most important part.
Yeah.
I feel like, that's just something that should be at the forefront of what we're doing is removing any kind of barrier that we can.
Jason, during the pandemic, when you weren't doing fines, was there an increase in people keeping books over long?
Well, yes and no, but that was for, on purpose. It really was. It was like, we wanted people to stay home, and it was like, don't worry about when you get these books back. So, you know, it was just, that's not a good representation of what would be normal. But, you know, when we did get ready for, rid of fines for kids, which really comes down to getting rid of fines for parents, that's made a huge difference. And I know, you know,
In what-
families,
In what way?
In what?
in terms of people coming back with, like, you know, having partly pandemic but not visiting the library as much, and, you know, being very late, and it's like, being able to just check all those books back in and be like, everything's good, everything got returned, and the fines are, there's no fines, and go pick up something else. And kids who do use their own library cards and do come to the library on their own, you know, the worst thing is telling a kid, like, sorry,
Can't get
you're
it
past
back.
your your overdue maximum, and you can't check that book out. I mean, honestly, we don't do that.
Yes. But so this does not go for the interlibrary loan though, right?
That's
That's a whole different.
completely, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm,
And what about for the videos?
No, it would include that too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, so that, if I'm hearing correctly, we'll draft a letter and we can work on it from that.
Yes.
And Donna, I'll get those numbers, and, I think one of the things was, like, if we get rid of that money, where can we, you know, and if that's something that I can take out of the library budget and just decrease.
I mean, look at what the numbers say, Jason.
Yeah.
If the 5-year average is 2,000, and last year was 500, right?
Yeah.
That makes the case for you, right?
Right.
Now, if the 5-year average was 2,000 and last year was 3,000, then
Right.
I have to spin it different.
Right.
But my gut tells me that there weren't many fines this last year, so that's how I would present it this year.
Okay. I like it. Thank you.
And one more thing, just
Yeah.
to keep adding, I really apologize for showing up late. I'd like to do my excuses, but we'll forget about that. All these stories that come up from time to time about a book that was checked out
Oh, yeah.
decades ago. Well, you know that nobody in that family ever went to the library again because, oh no, we
Yeah.
and it's not just books, it's people staying out of the library altogether.
Yes.
And
Yeah, one strange transaction of like, you owe us money and like, well, I don't have the money to pay it, that could be the last time you see that patron.
Yeah.
Or that family. That's what we're concerned about.
Good.
Obviously, we're just not saying like, no rules, let's, whatever you want, you can do. And Michael, you might not know this because you weren't part of the other conversation at another meeting, but there's still, materials would still be considered overdue.
Okay.
And patron accounts would still be blocked when there's overdue materials. It's just that when they come back and they get checked back in,
Okay.
a fine doesn't get attached to that.
Okay.
It's like, so there's still consequences, they're
Okay.
just not, they're not monetarily, focused.
And I think that should be in the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really just kind of explain,
Mhm.
Yes.
this is
Yeah,
how it all
that
works.
helps me a little.
Yes, right, because that also is
Right.
like, well, okay, there are still consequences.
Yeah, you can't keep getting 3 books at a time and
Time
then
and
don't get
bringing
any
them
back.
back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, anything else on that?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, now we go to new business.
All right. So I printed out for each of you, page 2 is just, Donna, we're looking at a statistical page. I'll email you all this.
But it was also on your last.
Oh, the newsletter. Yeah.
Newsletter. The whole thing was on the
Yes.
newsletter.
So we're slowly climbing back up to where we used to be. A lot of things. It's amazing, like how many things have changed in the last 2 years. Because if you look at some of the things like Canopy movie video streams, there's, and I don't have it on here because I don't get it each quarter, but ebook checkouts. It's like all those other things people are still using. Maybe a little less of the actual physical materials, but we are doing well. We're coming back up, and
Just alone, if I look at the interlibrary loan ones, it's a lot. Almost
yeah,
2,000 lent
seriously,
and 1,500 borrowed.
yeah.
You know,
And at the top, I'm really proud of is the CQL annex checked out 1,103 items in that quarter, and for that little operation,
Yeah.
that's really,
That's
I'm so
very
happy
good.
to see that. That's really good.
And there's still a lot of DVDs, even though a lot of people now have these streaming
Yeah.
services. But that's 4,700
Yeah.
DVDs, that's a lot.
It is. It is. And then just the kids' library is doing well. We could always use more. I would always like to see more kid checkouts, always. But actually, we're doing really well. That's one thing that did come back in full force for our kid readers. Just really awesome to see.
And so the question about the holds, that's when I call and say, oh, I
Uh-huh.
see you have that book, can you put it in
Yes.
hold? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, 1,560. This is what I love about statistics, because it's always like, whoa, really?
Yeah,
81 new adult users in 2 months.
Yes.
I mean, that's
that's a lot.
and 11 kids. That's good. And people, I can. It's like I only meet the people that move to Bisbee and get a library card, but there's a lot, they're coming and they're using the library, and to me, that's a great
Just
signal.
look at the internet hotspots, that's 180 still, that's a lot.
Yeah, and our take and make kits, 960. I mean, it's 30 a week. It's pretty amazing. Seeds, 223 packs of seeds checked out from our seed library. Pickleball sets are still going out.
I like the interlibrary loan stats. It speaks to how you have created the collection.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
we lend
We lend
more
more than we
borrow.
borrow. That's a good point. Yeah. And our preschool program participants are growing. 238 participants. And that actually grows each week. We get new families. We just met a family that lives down the street from the annex. Didn't know we were there. And they have 2 small children.
Uh-huh.
So it's slow, but, you know,
Well, we're having more young families move to town.
yes, there is that too. So, and we usually see them right away too, because they come in and get library cards. So, does anyone have any questions on?
I have a question about, do you, like, have some kind of reach out at the Montessori school?
Oh, yeah, yes.
For those
So-
young,
Yes, so the Montessori school is pretty, we see a lot of those kids at the annex after class gets out. And Joan Reichel she's our outreach, she's always going to Head Start. She goes to Trinity, and we're trying as every small body out there, we're trying to bring in, so.
it's very good.
Speaking of small bodies, the book, the book bin at front of the pub in Naco, is that still an active?
Oh, the county's, that's, yeah, I think so,
It
yeah.
is active, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, great, oh, that's good.
yeah. Yeah,
The Naco Book Locker.
yes, yeah, right outside of the bar.
Yes.
You've been there.
And then staffing, so we stay with, me and Allison are the only full-timers. Sarah Sheen, our early lit, she's at 24 hours. Damaris is at 19 and a half hours, and Kathy's at 10 hours, so all that has stayed the same.
Sarah's more in the Old Bisbee Library now.
She's our Monday,
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, yeah, yes,
Then we go, no, it's
No.
not. That was the one before.
yes. Yeah, so I think it's really, that's a great way of just keeping, the last thing we want is like this isolated
Yeah.
worker down, to show her
Uh-huh.
everything works and all of our patrons here, and that really gives her a good time to talk up the preschool programs. With the grants update, I printed out, your next sheet is, you are all invited. Our ice cream social, after a 2-year hiatus, is back on. It's Friday, May 13th. Yeah, scary, scary. Noon until 2 over at the annex. And this is also going to be, not everything's going to be done on the patio, but enough that we can actually celebrate it and do a ribbon cutting of the preschool patio out there. And if any of you would like to come out and see it, it's slowly but surely, we have a patio. And we've got, it looks amazing, and this is just going to be a great way to highlight it, because this is where we're going to be having the ice cream social. And all these names down here, these are tables that are going to be set up by these organizations, and it's kind of outreach for them. So they're going to be activity tables / informational tables, but for parents and families and caregivers to learn about some of the different things that locally are available to them.
And there's the community Montessori school.
Yes.
listed there, okay?
Yeah,
Well, maybe I can at least come out there for a minute.
you must.
It's, well,
It's a Friday.
I'm working.
Yeah.
I've never been to the annex,
Ever?
ever.
Down in San Jose, right?
Yeah.
Neither have I.
Well,
Old school building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, you need, yeah.
I've never been out there.
It's pretty neat.
I see it, I mean, I see,
Yeah.
I see pictures and,
Got that right.
I just,
I know.
You know.
I get it.
Well, the first Friday of each month, they have pie and sky at the annex.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. You can look through really big deal telescopes and have an astronomer tell you what
It
you're
is really
seeing.
cool.
That sounds really cool, yeah, I like that.
And you get great pizza from Dylan's.
Yeah. So
Dennis, well, what's this business here? Something about a 2022 finalist or something? But what's this doing on this information?
Oh, right, well, I guess I should mention that early on, huh?
Oh, well.
But yes, so the Copper Queen Library is a finalist for the National Medal
Congratulations.
for Museum and Library Services, and
Is that the same award that you got before?
No.
It's a different one.
it's
It's
a
very
very
different.
Yet
one.
another one.
This
This
is-
one is all over the
This is
country.
I was gonna say, this is all libraries.
This
right?
is all libraries, no matter what size.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually up against some large library
Incredible.
systems.
But in the upper 30.
I mean, this, it's,
Well, it's 15 libraries and 15 museums, so it's
Yes.
upper 15.
Yes.
Wow,
Ah,
Yes.
even better.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
boy.
so,
how did that get initiated?
So Melanie Green from the Science Lab wanted to nominate us, and you know, when that happens, then really then the organization does the work of submitting. You know, we had to write a essay or give statistics and talk ourselves up and to
Yeah.
present
This
them.
is why we're doing it.
So that is what we did, and then lo and behold, get an email saying, "Hey, you're a finalist." But the great thing about the way that they're doing this is that all the finalists get attention from here until June. So we have they're going to be sharing pictures on their platforms and just talking up all of us. So it's like we've already won. It's like we're getting all this
Yeah.
attention.
Mhm.
Obviously winning, it's the highest, it is the highest honor in the land for libraries and museums.
Wow.
And
we have-
historically, it's the First Lady presents the award. And
Oh,
That would be great.
So we get Jill by
Jill.
Yes.
All right.
So if that were to happen,
So you'd have to go to Washington.
let's go to Washington.
This time.
Oh, no, she comes here.
But it is quite, I mean, and we got Senator Kelly's office to write us a letter of support, and Cinema's office.
That's surprising.
And yeah, they were very excited to do so, so.
Editorial comment there. I
Yes.
apologize.
So it's exciting. So we actually will learn in June, the beginning of June.
But no matter what happens, it's
Yeah.
already
We've
great.
already
What you said,
It is.
yeah.
It really,
Right.
I couldn't,
I don't guess I can get a bumper sticker that looks like this.
Only if you produce them.
Oh, okay.
So in terms of grants update, I printed you out, there's a lot going on,
I
and,
see that.
Incredible.
Whoa.
and, with the Freeport grant is for the balconies, and really what, we've done our new lighting, ADA ramps. The fourth rail, it's already been taken to council, it's approved, we're just waiting for Old Bisbee Enterprises.
On the fourth, the third, and the second?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
So within, hopefully kind of soon, they will be working on that. But it's like, it's happening, they're figuring out on their end what they need to do. And then the next thing we have to do with the balconies is get a structural engineer to look at some of the cracking that we have. We did have one engineer come out and just give briefly an overview. He said obviously it's not, and nothing looks terrible.
Oh, that's
you know.
good.
Yeah, there's.
Don't have to close the balcony because people are gonna
No.
fall off.
There's just a few spots that a structural engineer needs to look at. Once that engineer looks at it and we can, he or she will come up with a plan and then we can get a contractor to do it.
Mhm.
So,
And that's gonna be part of the
Yeah.
70,000.
yeah, we're gonna take that money as far as we can go
Mhm.
with that. And once we get that fourth rail, then we can open up the third floor balcony. We can put tables up
Yeah.
there for people to. It'd be really nice.
That would, yeah.
Yeah.
Are we serving coffee?
Not yet.
Pizza.
But that's exciting, and if you see with our new lighting,
Yes.
everything's app-based. So right now we have the third floor balcony blue and the second floor yellow, so it's our Ukraine tribute.
Yeah.
And it's,
Very nice.
it is very nice. It's actually,
It's beautiful.
And you finally got a new flag.
we got a new flag. But then we were talking about changing the colors for something, and it's like, oh, this seems so much more important than changing it to Easter egg colors or
Yeah.
something like
I
that.
don't know.
But we will change it, I'm looking forward to Pride Weekend, because we can make
Oh,
rainbow.
rainbows.
Oh.
So that's just kind of a fun interactive, I think that, you know, it adds kind of a lot to who we are, you know?
Yeah.
The legacy grant, that's, we're installing those 3 permanent story walks. And we got 14,000 for that, and actually, those story walks should be delivered. So on Wednesday, we're meeting with Public Works, so we're gonna put one in Garfield Park. That's pretty easy, because it's gonna go along that back sidewalk. And Vista Park, we're putting it up by the musical instruments, kind of create that whole, you know, kid area. And so we're meeting with Public Works to actually pick out the locations and of where they're gonna go, and we're gonna be working with Brent Weller and Dave Pendergast to pick up a nice auger bit. So these signs are, they're like when you go to a park or something, they're, you know, kind of like an interactive,
Oh,
not interactive, but I think that's what they
And
call it.
where's, okay, San Jose. San
So San Jose, we're putting it
is-
somewhere over at the annex. We haven't really decided where yet, but one will go over there. So now we have one, we'll have one in each ward, and we can switch out the stories.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're
so
also,
that's good, yeah.
yeah, so we're talking about, we met with Premier Alliances and the Copper Queen Hospital for other things, but we talked about them sponsoring books. So really, it's you buy 2 kids' books, the same book, and you have to take it all apart. This is why there's no copyright infringement, because you're not making copies of the book pages, you're actually just
Using them.
using them.
You had that, was it a couple years ago?
We did temporary ones, yeah.
Yes, they were great.
Yeah. And then, so we thought, oh, and then we bought an extra sign, so like if we are sponsored by an organization, we can put in their information, you know, like talking about, you know, the hospital's resources or Premier Alliance, what they, you know, what resources they have available. And they were both like really excited about that, so I, you know, and of course we can sponsor our own books as well, but it's nice just to, you know, get other organizations involved in it. And then summer reading, we are busy planning that. We got $4,000 from Freeport, and that basically goes to buying kids' books. You know, we do, each participant gets a free book per week. And Freeport has sponsored that for the past 6 years, so they're very generous again.
We're very lucky to have
Oh
them.
my gosh. So we're ordering 900 books. And then our programs are going to be, we're working with the Science Lab, the Boys and Girls Club. We just want to make sure that none of us are doing things on the same day, or
No, that's good.
really spreading everything out. So there actually will be, you know, I think the way we have it, there'll be something for kids to do every day of the week
Cool.
in the summer, if they choose to do so.
And what's your topic this
The
year?
theme is Ocean of Possibilities,
Uh-huh.
so it's ocean themed. So
Because
We
there's
already
that
have your
whale.
bookmarks.
we've got the whale, you've got the
whale.
whales.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, we're just looking at, you know, you can be as creative with those themes as you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, you know, we're doing a few different things, but, you know, the desert as ocean, or, you know, the desert used to be an ocean. So there's a lot of different ways that we're playing that. The Science Lab is going to do its water-themed science experiments on their open Fridays. And, you know, we're going to have a kite day. It's like sky is ocean. And so we're getting these, they're like fish kites and squids and stuff like that.
Oh, wonderful.
So it should be great. It should be good. And we're going to base all of our in-person programs over at the annex. Just we have the space. And yeah, and so we should have a brochure that we can, the Ice Cream Social is kind of also a pre-registration for summer reading. But really to have all that information available, because we bring the families in with ice cream and then send them out with all of our information. So. The E-rate is, Donna, are you still with us? Donna?
I am.
Okay, just
I'm
checking.
barking, so I'm gonna head.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not mute, but I'm still here.
Okay. So E-rate is the federal government highly discounted internet services. So we applied for this, last year, and Sparklight was out right away, increased our internet speed. But we've been waiting for this category 2, which is the Wi-Fi upgrade. So actually, finally, and I know I'm so sick of saying it, but supply chain issues, all that stuff.
Right.
And actually, they have all their stuff. They were out last Thursday and Friday, and they cabled everything. So we're going to have Wi-Fi access points. There's one on the back of the building now, so when we're closed, people can park out back and still get the
okay.
internet.
Oh, wow.
We've got one on the front of the building, inside the balcony area. So that just will really create people can sit outside now on the balcony. Our wireless has just been terrible for a very long time.
Yeah.
So this is exciting
It's
to
exciting.
talk about. And then there's access points on the 2nd floor and one on the 3rd floor. So no matter where you are in or around that building, we're going to have really great Wi-Fi accessibility.
Wonderful.
And so it was worth, we've been waiting a year for them to come down, and it's awesome. It's got to be awesome. So they did all that stuff, and then someone's got to come back. They got to hook up some equipment, and then just plug everything in, and supposedly that should be it. But
And so the dollar savings,
yes. So this program is based on. It's connected with the school district and their school lunch program. It shows it shows our poverty level actually,
Yeah.
what it comes down to. And the highest amount of discounted internet you can get is 90%, and Bisbee falls under that category. So we have now a whole gig of internet coming into our building. Normally that would cost $600 a month for that service. With this program, it costs $60 a month.
whoa.
Outstanding.
It's actually cheaper than what we were paying before for internet.
Yes,
Oh.
you're right.
Oh.
That's less than
This
what I'm
poverty
paying.
pays off.
So, well, and so
Do they do senior citizens?
So the federal, no, they just do public libraries and schools, but,
That's wonderful.
yeah, so the federal government pays the
difference.
$540 dollars.
That's great.
It's crazy. And then for the category 2, that's not going to be a recurring charge. That's just the federal government pays. I'm not going to remember off the top of my head, but a huge chunk for all that to be done, and then we pay a little
Sort of
chunk.
an installation.
Yes.
fee.
Yeah, I think actually that's the federal government pays 80% of the installation, and we pay 20%. So. And once that's done, really, then it's just that monthly internet bill. So that's super exciting.
Yeah,
I'm really
that's
excited about the wireless, because that's obviously even when we reopened our doors, everyone who didn't have a device now has a device. Before the pandemic, we didn't have one.
Right.
So it's that's the most internet we're using now is just people on their
Bringing in
wireless.
their own.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you'll see people out on the bench outside, connected to our
Mhm.
wireless, and it's going to make a huge difference. I think in people's, just because we've had struggles with it, I'm hoping the way that I see it in my mind is it's going to be wonderful, and I hope it plays out that way. The patio grants, that was for the annex patio. So you can see $25,000 from the Arizona Community Foundation, $20,000 from private donations, $15,000 from the Arizona State Library, and $4,000 from Freeport. We probably have spent about, I would say $40,000. So we're going through it.
Well,
That's what
that's
it's
what it's
for.
for.
Yeah, and actually, this was another thing that got so hung up with the pandemic. I mean, we were trying to order materials, and they were like, okay, well, that'll be 6 months before
Yeah.
you can get your pavers. So we made it through it, and it's quite nice. So what we're waiting on, what we're doing now is doing our shade sales. So we actually have some shading on that patio because it is south
Those would be
facing.
triangular
Yeah,
awnings.
yeah. And then just the American Rescue Plan money, the city is committed funds from that to give us a new HVAC system.
Aren't you excited?
I'm so scared to say because I just want it to be done. Which is huge because,
Yes, so cold in that building. Oh.
yes, and hot in the
Right.
summer.
Yes.
And, you know, this is, again, it's like, this is not, you know, yes, staff will benefit from this, but it's not, this is for the public. This is for the public to come in and sit and be warm in the winter and be, you know, cool in the summer.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think, I'm not sure when this will happen, but these funds are committed, and I think a grant just came up too with the state historic preservation office has money for HVAC, so I think we can even go
Cool.
in for that as
The
well.
more the better.
Yes, and
Because that's
actually,
expensive.
and that's up to $200,000. So that
Oh,
actually,
okay.
that and then that would just free up that ARPA money for another project.
Yeah.
in Bisbee. It's not like that would leave Bisbee. That we'd still commit it to the
Uh-huh.
city of Bisbee.
Mhm.
And then the library got some of its own rescue plan money, and we did that. We extended all of our hotspot contracts. You know, that's $5,000. And, you know, we're looking at digital literacy, you know, collection, outdoor programming. You know, we bought chairs and tables for the annex.
And
the
what's
outdoor
digital
remodel.
literacy collection?
Just like a book on how to use an iPhone, you know, how to, you know,
That's good.
yeah, it helps, it
Yes.
definitely helps. As more and more people get their devices.
Yes.
I need-
And then a really cool thing we did with the library ARPA money was buy
Proud of.
it's a bicycle repair station.
Yeah.
And it's got everything you need. It's like this metal kind of column pole that's hollowed out, and they've got all these tools on metal cables. And you can put your bike up. There's a tire pump attached. And this is actually going to go out in San Jose. And I want this to kind of be the model because Public Works is going to install it. And they seemed very interested in what these look like, and could these go other places around the city.
Wow.
Because I don't know the last time anyone has tried to pump up a tire or anything. There's like, none of the gas stations have air anymore. Or what, the last time I went to look, everything was out of order, or,
Right.
and it's
San
like,
Jose used to, you could depend on that one.
the day that I looked, no. So it's really great, and I think that's, you know, I think that's a really great use of, you know, this is, you know, getting people outside, and like people can get out their old bikes and be like, you know, because half the time it's a flat tire, it's stopping people from
Oh,
using their bikes, you know, they're gonna get it out of their shed and then, oh, it's got a flat, forget about it. Well, not anymore, bring it over, pump it up.
The library, once again, is gonna have you up.
And so, yeah, so that's just kind of a grant, our grant update, programming update.
public effort.
We're just, you know, moving ahead with all the summer reading. Allison's doing Poetry Month, all this month. And then we really want to keep our virtual programs going through the summer and to bring in some adult summer reading. And we can theme, like, do some talks about, like when we were talking about this area used to be an ocean, we're gonna do something with that. And yeah, just kind of bring in the programming and start it out and just keep it going and keep people interested, and engaged and involved. But this is probably the most important part of this meeting would be the collection policy review. And what I did, so the ink, the black ink is what we've had for our collection development policy. And so libraries have this, so there's a set, you know, parameters of how we acquire books, and how we get rid of books. And no one likes to talk about getting rid of books, but we have to. There's only so much shelf space. But there's parameters, so it's not like we're willy-nilly just pulling books off the shelf and getting rid of them. And same with buying them, we just don't buy any book. It's gotta fit some criteria. But what we need to add to this policy is this whole in red section. This is information about controversial materials and reconsideration procedure. So I don't know if any of you been watching the news.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
This is happening a lot across the country right now. I mean, it always has, but there seems to be, I just seem to be hearing a lot about it now. And so we really don't have anything in place if someone were to come and be like, I don't think this book should be on the shelf. And so it's like, we need to have something in place to be able to react to it. Yeah.
What was it that triggered this?
The what?
What was it that triggered your realization that you better?
Oh, well, the way of the world.
Yeah.
The way of the country.
The way of the country.
Yes, very good.
And
The
particularly
Europeans
our-
are expensive.
There's
Yeah.
a lot.
We
Yes.
talked about this a couple of times already.
Yeah,
It's about some
Well-
of this, parts of these
Yes.
things.
we could just say, all banned books are welcome.
Right. Well, and so I think what really this, and what we've always said was that, when it comes to children's materials, ultimately, as the parents are responsible for what the child checks out, right? And we don't interfere with that, right? So, it's what happens is when someone comes in and it's fine for, say parents or caregivers to be like, no, I don't want you to check that book out. That's up to them, right? But it's like when you're trying to remove a book so no one can check it out. That's when it becomes an issue for a lot of people. It's like, what if any of us wanted to read that book, or so having this kind of laid out, and honestly, I copied all this, and this is what we do, but from the Cochise County Library District, their policy on reconsideration and their request form, and I talked to Amity, and obviously, she was like, yes, go for it, So there's nothing has been reinvented in here. It's just, I took exactly, obviously changed our library's name to ours, and really, so what it would come out, that a person who would want something reconsidered would fill this form out, and some of the things are really quite important, like one of them, the questions is, have you read the book?
Yeah, that's very good.
Because a lot of people
What's that? I got to deal with this. Yeah, come on, I want.
A lot of people are hearing what's going on in other places, and it's like, well, we probably shouldn't have it either, and it's like, well, did you read the book
In its
in
entirety.
its entirety?
Yes.
Yes. And that's a yes or no question.
Read the introduction.
So, what would happen?
Jason, maybe to that point, have you read the book, yes or no?
Yeah.
And then, if so, please enumerate your reasons why you
Yes.
read this.
That's on
So
here.
that's
That's on here.
yeah. Right next to that, right below that, Donna. There's the question one is what brought this item to your attention. And again, is that like because I read it in the newspaper, or is it because
Texas
my
State.
child had it at home and it started, whatever it is. Have you read the book or reviewed the material in its entirety? And why would you like this material to be reconsidered? Please be specific about your concerns or objections, including page numbers or specific passages,
Whoa.
and use the back of the form if necessary.
I'll support your argument,
And then it's what action do you recommend the library take on this material, and what items would you recommend in place of or in addition to the title in question? So these are really good questions,
Yes.
because
Uh-huh.
it's, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion, right?
Mhm.
And this, you know, you have to make your argument, or whoever wants to do this has to make their argument. And,
Yeah, because there could even be a book that I don't want in the library, like abortion is blah, 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 whatever.
Mhm.
And so then I would fill this out too,
Right. yeah,
and say, no, we shouldn't have that book in the library.
I'm assuming this probably came originally from American Library Association.
well, they do a lot, because Amity had the Library Bill of Rights, and this was created by the American Library Association. And this kind of, they have a lot of resources on censorship and help libraries who sometimes can't help themselves, like, kind of navigate
Yeah.
a situation like this.
Mhm.
And, you know, and what it comes down to is the Library Advisory Board would be the ones, you know, having a session to discuss any of these
Concerns.
concerns with.
How would we interact with Amity and the county library, if at all? And
Well, we really want to, because we're a city library, so we would, you know, this would be our policy.
okay,
And we would do this ourselves.
okay.
I mean, we could always ask for advice
Yeah.
and whatnot. And so, because what would happen is they would fill this out, and then the Library Advisory Board would evaluate the material in question, and taking into consideration the collection development policy and all that stuff. And then you guys would evaluate and submit your recommendations to me.
And if we
And then
got,
I would make the final decision concerning the material.
and then if the person was not satisfied, it wouldn't go to the county library, it would go to the city council.
Yeah.
I'm looking at number 6 down here.
On the Bill of Rights?
Yeah, of the Bill of Rights, and I'm thinking, oh my heavens, do you know? You know, worst case for me, you know, what if the neo-Nazis come in and say they want to?
Well, remember that happened up in, what was that library in Seattle? There was quite a controversy of
Yeah, but you have to serve those people, and then you can just hope that, or not hope, but you put it out to your community and see what the community does about it,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Because,
Yeah, it's.
I mean, the library can't make any decisions on who they want or want not have.
Right.
That's what's happening all over the country, Florida, Texas, Arizona,
Arizona.
the other way around. So if the neo-Nazis would want to do it, the only thing the library could do is publicize it and hope that the community actually then takes it on.
Yeah, because we,
Okay.
right, and we have certain parameters.
That's the only way.
If you're using our meeting room, there are certain parameters, you know, that you can't, you know, there can't be exchanges of money, so it's like, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
groups, we would
Right.
be open to. And it's like libraries, you know, I forget, there's a quote of like, you know, every library should have something in it that offends everyone.
Oh,
You
yes,
know?
right.
Yeah, it's not all of our, you know,
No, yeah,
but that's the point of a library, it's
Right.
it's information from everybody,
Yes.
and it's like,
yeah.
you know, I may be looking for something that no one else wants, you know,
Mhm.
but it's like, that's my choice to do it.
Right.
And that's what the great thing about, you know, the interlibrary loan, you know, we can get you anything, it doesn't, we
Yes.
don't have to hold every single book, we can't. But that's a really great way to like, no, we don't have it, but we can get it for you
Right.
through our interlibrary loan service, and there you go. you know.
I take advantage of that at least once a month.
Yeah. I mean,
I
it's
always
a
order something.
great service because it really is, we can pretty much get you anything you're looking for.
Okay.
I'm so glad it still exists. The
Oh,
Patio
yeah.
Grants School.
Oh,
It's
that
amazing.
can never go away because
Yeah.
that is one of the,
It's the ultimate
the
library
found,
service.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because that
Well, it
just,
should be.
yeah.
yes.
If
So
you-
this
if
is
people
good.
don't like
I'm
it, don't
glad
check
that-
it out, right?
Well, and that's the idea.
Yeah.
And there's people who don't like to hear that, but it's,
No, I know.
it's like, right, it's,
Well, incidentally, I laundered my banned books before I came, just in
That's
case.
very good.
I want the list, I want to read it
So
all.
do you have to pass this by the city?
I don't know, I have to ask Steve Puckett about that. I mean, the library advisory board may be enough.
Yeah.
We should vote on this, if you, on adopting this into our collection development
okay.
policy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, oh,
Can we do
absolutely.
it, do we have to wait 1 month? Do we have to review and then next month we vote on it? 'Cause Robert's Rule of Order is a little weird about that. so.
Yeah, that would be the way it would be done at city council.
Oh, 'cause like this is the
Something has
first
to be
reading?
Yes.
presented.
Okay.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
That's how I think it
Well,
has
let's
to
do
go.
that then.
Okay.
So you could put it on the
This will be
agenda
our
for next
first,
month.
Yeah.
our first
Reading.
reading of it.
If you feel an urgency, and I sense that you do, and I certainly do after reading what I read today and talking to my neighbor about something that he read, perhaps we could have an additional meeting that was publicized
Oh, right.
in order
Oh.
to deal with this.
Right, I'll check with the clerk's office.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
And it could just be a quick meeting,
Yeah.
like a special meeting too.
On the other
It could even
hand,
be a virtual meeting, couldn't it? Or no?
No,
No.
then we should.
No,
we
yeah.
Has to
have
be signed,
Yeah.
okay.
But I mean, if the, I'm sorry, if the neo-Nazis wanted to meet, Jason just shows them rule number, 6, saying, we have to let them. So,
Yeah.
and then, as you say, Angela, then the public takes over and we attack.
No, but I think that it's important that we pass this soon.
Yeah,
But I don't think we can do it tonight, because you're
Yeah.
just presenting it to
Right.
us.
I'll check with the clerk's office. Donna, did you have anything to add?
No, I agree with the comment that it is something that we should probably do as sooner versus later.
Yeah.
So we need to call a special meeting to do it. By all
Okay.
means, let's do
Okay.
that.
it might be an interesting special meeting, we might get public.
You never know.
Well, you
Um,
never know these days.
I mean, and this is protecting all materials,
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
for even ones that we may not agree with, or
Yeah.
whatever. It's,
We might be able to just meet at the library, the meeting room.
yeah, I'll check.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
good idea.
I suppose if the meeting is just labeled for collection development, that wouldn't ring any bells. We might get by without
Oh.
too much
Yeah.
comment.
Great.
Whoa.
But it's like also, like this whole broader collection development, it's like every library is different. Like if you go into any library in Cochise County, the collection's gonna look different to you. And that's a reflection of the community. That's really all that
Right.
is.
Mhm.
It's like, do we buy certain books for the Bisbee shelves, that none of the community wants? No. I mean, so it's like if people are looking at like, why don't you have these? It's mostly because the community doesn't want to read them.
But you can get them for
Well, and then
you
you're
We
gonna
can
say,
get
but
them for 'em, right.
Douglas might have it, and so we can get
Exactly,
it.
because Douglas is a completely different community.
Right, or Sierra
And
Vista.
that's important for people to realize too. It's like, we don't all have the same collection.
Right.
That's what makes libraries so community specific.
Very good.
And that's why people are, putting holes in all our materials is because they like our community. Our community has good taste.
Or they rip pages out of the book.
No, that's true.
Well, it happened to that book that I had.
It has a page missing?
I
Somebody
wonder if that
ripped a
was
page,
censorship or if that was.
right, like here's the page, and they had ripped half of the page off,
Huh.
gone.
What-
This, is it The Sentence
Yeah.
by Louise
Uh-huh.
Erdrich?
This is a new book by Louise
Really?
Erdrich, yeah.
Oh, I love her.
So it does happen.
But someone donated a copy right after.
Oh, good.
We didn't have to buy another one.
So there.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
All right, so thank you for that. Yes, this is important. And-
Yes,
and
no, we'll do that quick.
We'll do it,
Yeah.
It's,
just let us know.
We don't have to have much time, but we have to wait for a second meeting
Mhm,
after after you passing it on.
mhm.
okay.
Nina can probably advise you on
Yeah.
the timing of
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I'll
Okay,
reach out to them.
all right, so any more comments on that discussion? And
No.
if not, we will have for the good of the order, which I still don't fully understand.
We can just use that for the next meeting date.
All right, so next meeting will be July 18th, and with no objection, I will adjourn the meeting.
Yep.
You're here.
Bam, bam.
Awesome. Donna, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person.
That's okay.
All right.
Well, I'll send out the minutes, but yeah, I hope to see you soon, Donna.
Yeah, and Jason, you know, if you need help with the city manager or whatnot, you just let me know.
Yeah.
Come down next, we can chat about it.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Well, first time in 2 years
This is
that we're in
amazing.
the same room.
Oh!
Really? Didn't know.